we didn't know we were going to get separated. First off, they throw me in the back of the patrol car, and it reeks. I mean, it just
smelled really bad.
What were you calling it? I don't think we can say. But it didn't smell divine.
Yeah.
As it turns out, the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. stint is not the busiest. I got to go bust up a house party, some teenagers, you know, the poor little guy. I mean, not poor little guy, he knew what he was doing. But, yes, officer, sweating. And the guy finally says, when's your birthday? All I remember is that the year of his birth was something like 87 or 88, so he certainly wasn't of age, but he got off with a warning.
Well, while she was doing that, Officer Woody and we were driving back to a different location, but he noticed somebody in the middle of the road, like, pointing at a car lot. So I was like, cool, this is gonna be cool. Somebody's breaking into something. But it turned out that there was, like, a car with 9 boys, and it was probably like a medium-sized car, and these 9 guys were from Jersey, and it was some kind of frat thing going on that weekend, I guess. And only one of them was considered wasted, but he was of age. And then they all basically just were nervous and got put back in their cars and let go. However, one of the officers were, I think, following him. So that was it, because they were right down the street that they were supposed to go to. So.
And then
I ended up getting, he got a call at Raw Middle School that the alarm went off, and it was a silent alarm. So when we got there, we ended up parking, like, on the other side of the soccer field and walking around, like, the fence or whatever. And at one point, he thought he had seen something, so we're both kind of running to it. And I was kind of freaked out at this point. I was like, okay, what's going on? You know, and I'm like, if I could take any pictures, it's going to be really quick. But it was just the lights being on in the inside or whatever, and I think he thought maybe it had flickered. So we walked around the entire building, and by the time we got to the other side, there was another officer there, and they had informed the dean of the school, and she showed up, like, about half an hour after we had been out there, and we got to go into the rooms that the silence alarm went off on, and it was nothing. They think it was like a mouse or maybe the heat that triggered it. But it was kind of fun because it was a little thrill.
Mm-hmm.
We were scheduled to shoot at the newborn ward at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, and the shoot was scheduled for about 3 a.m., and our photographer and reporter showed up at the hospital, and they were escorted into the room of one of the patients, and the curtain was whisked aside, and it turned out to be one of our colleagues here at Roland Publishing. Our chief operating officer, Kim Howes, was delivering her baby that night, and so it was quite a shock both to our reporter and photographer and to Kim, who, while she knew they were coming by, I don't think she expected to be delivering when they came by.
Yeah, the only person that knows right now is my mom, because I'd called her at 1:30 in the morning and said, can you come over here?
We get there, and I was the first one to go ahead and grab the curtain and pull it back. So as soon as I look and see who's actually laying in the bed, and I'm just like, no way.
I'm telling you, the whole night had played into our hands. It had to be Kim. It couldn't be anyone else. It had to be her, because it was just like stellar. It just added to the list of perfect timing.
Well, here, I know I have been bugging Kim for like the past month that I would be taking her picture, knowing that she's pregnant and she's due around the time. And yeah, we all have been bugging her.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody in the office.
Larry, Greg, me.
The best part is she's like, when my water broke it, I think it was around 11:30, she was like, all I thought was, they're
going to be there to take
oh man.
Then I had the teacher emailing parents at 4:30 in the morning, and she's a great story. I'd done some research on her, and I was looking up her address online, and I had found a story that was written about her back in 1999 that was still online. One of the students at the elementary school she taught, one of her students, was injured in a car accident, and she had decided as it was motivation for her to start training for a marathon, the Disney marathon, and she collected pledges from people all around the school and everybody she knew. She raised $10,000, and I talked with her about that when I got there, and it was neat to hear her talk to about how it touched her and how the outpouring of community. So we had to show up at her place at 4:30 in the morning, a few yawns. I talked to her for about 15-20 minutes as she sent out her email. She gets up at 4 in the morning and she does her emails to the students and the families, and then goes off to premiere and works out before she has to go into Hawks Rise Elementary in the morning.
We're WCTV. I get in about 4:45. I do my hair and my makeup, so I have that over with and done. After that, I go to my desk and I look through the Associated Press wires. Then I go through my show and read my scripts and tweak them. If I have any questions, I'll talk to my producer about them. Then I do a little radio report.
2, 1. Good morning, everyone. Here's a look at what's making news.
And I basically pick 4 news stories, or 3 news stories typically, that I do very quickly for those.
For Star 98, I'm WCTV's Tristan Sanders.
And then we get out to the set at about 5 minutes till 6. And we go on at 6 a.m.
Stand by. Today's headlines: nearly 30 warrants and arrests are being made in an effort to keep the drugs off the streets in Wakulla County.
Plus, one man gives a would-be robber a punch in the gut. Now he tells his story.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Friday morning.
All right, it is a Friday, which means the weekend is right around the corner. Let's turn it over to Rob Nucatola for a look at our weather.
A massive drug sweep, and that's nearly 30 arrests so far, with more on the way.
The suspects are busted for possession and sale of marijuana.
We get out to premiere and we meet the runners, and they're all like chipper, and I'm like, it's not funny at this early.
Well, it was great. The guys were like, "Wow, thanks for getting up so early to come, do this." We're like, "We're still going.
We haven't slept yet." So we get, get all their names and all that stuff, and then they take off. They're like, "Oh, we run 6 miles. We've been doing it 10 or 15 years, and yada yada yada." And I'm like, "I'm tired. I don't care." So they just take off, and Nikki gets there where they're going.
They're like, "You gonna run after us?" I'm like, "No. I'm gonna go ahead and drive, take some pictures, drive a little further, take some pictures." Running with like my flash and my, quantum battery recharger and all this stuff. No, that doesn't sound like a good time. They kind of diverted through random streets that I couldn't really navigate ahead of time, and it sounded like they kind of did a lot of jaunting around rather than just going down one main road. So we went to Circle K because I was going to be kind of like another main part that they're at that we know of, and so we're waiting.
Getting tired.
The heat in the car is starting to feel really nice. So then they come, I get a few more pictures, and then they disperse. They all kind of go their separate ways. So I was a little bummed because, I had like the opportunity to take their pictures kind of 4 different locations, and then they were done. They all went their own way. And at this time it's only like 5:20 maybe, something like that. And here, we had wanted kind of like running shots with the, sunrise and all that, and it wasn't going to happen at all. Here I would be just getting a shot of one runner and having to wait maybe and by the time sunrise, they probably wouldn't even be running anymore. So at that point in time, I was like, well, we have nothing else to do. Let's call it a night.
That was a difficult assignment. Basically what it is a big parking lot full of buses. And the bus drivers show up bright and early in the morning.
At the office, and they check in, get their keys, and they they quickly head on out to the corral. And
Yeah, because they're on a schedule, and what they have to do when they get to their bus is they have to run through this checkpoint list to make sure everything is working on the bus before they can go out and start picking up students. So that's what I was trying to photograph, was the bus driver completing the checklist, but it was very difficult because it was so dark out there.
So I drove out to Summerbrook, and I knew of the lake there where the sun would rise over the lake, so I could shoot. And actually pulled in around the lake, and it was I sunrised at 6:58. Well, that's when dawn started, 6:58, and I made it to about 6:45 before I put my car seat back. Took a little bit of a nap, and I felt like I just closed my eyes, and I get a light shining in my face, and it's actually a police officer pulled up right in front of my car and was shining his light from the side right in my face. And so I had to open the door and wave and say, "I'm fine." And he's like, "Just checking, making sure everything's okay." I told him I was there to shoot the sunrise, and he asked, "With a camera?" Yes, with a camera. But it was right. It's funny because I looked at my clock. It was 6:58 right there when he showed up. So thank goodness he did, because I probably would have missed it.
It was just a typical night in Tallahassee. People arrived, people departed. People worked, people played. People celebrated, people worshipped. People saved lives, people gave birth to new life. Maybe it was just a typical night in Tallahassee, but even the typical nights are something special.